Okay, welcome to the Tim Weichselbaum Show. This is episode 67 of the program. I am Tim Weichselbaum. I'm a comedian, podcaster, and person from Chicago, now living in Austin, Texas. I lived there. It's very hot. It's getting hot. It's March. I thought it was supposed to be... No, I'm used to it being cold for more than 2 months of the year. And I'm afraid of bugs, and I'm not excited for the bugs to come out. Anyway, I didn't tell my guests that I'd be doing a monologue, so I guess I'm probably not going to do that for 10 minutes. I do have a guest here today. I could just go on. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, no, it's not crazy.
Isn't that crazy how I could just ramble? I have a guest. His name is Talha Usman. He's also a comedian based here in Austin, Texas. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Tim. Thank you for having me.
Not only is he my guest, this is the first time he's done a podcast in his whole career. He has a career.
He has a career. Are you referring to my stand-up career? Which
yes.
Is, yeah, well,
comedian, yeah.
Comedian, yeah, that's going really well. First time podcasting, so clearly I'm taking over.
Well, you got to start somewhere, and you've been doing it for, 2 years?
Yeah, I've been doing it for 2 years now, in my third year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you first start, when you're in your, when you're, only a couple of years, that's when you really, relish, every month is, I don't know, it slows down time, and it's well, now I'm 2 years in. Now I'm 2 years and 2.5 years. I don't give a fuck how, no, actually, I still have that. I still care, how long I've been doing it, even though I don't do it.
Well, is it true, the longer you do it, the less you want to tell people how long you've been doing it? Is that a thing?
I think so, because that's kind of why I am stopping to track it as much, because it's getting more and more shameful the longer I consider myself a stand-up, because, of course, logically, if you have nothing to show for it, if all that experience adds up to nothing that people could see of substance,
Yeah.
it's never mind, don't ask. But also, yeah, I've been doing it for long enough where when I tell people, they give you a double take. They go, whoa, that's a long time. Yeah, it is in some regard, 10 years. But then to some other people, that's nothing. To people like Louis C.K., that's nothing, 10 years. So anyway, I'm new still.
Well, I mean, I think the mentality just kind of, if I'm 2 years in right now, look at a guy who's 6 months, and I'm oh, wow, this guy's so new, da-da-da. But I think it just keeps on going that way. When I'm 5 years in, I'm going to look at a guy who's 2 years in, and I'm going to be this guy doesn't know anything. And that just never changes.
Yeah.
Louis C.K. is what about 20 years in?
Oh,
or?
he's 38 years in.
Okay,
yeah.
38. Okay,
so that's why he even looks at people that are 16 years in and goes, oh, you're just starting out.
You're just starting out.
You haven't gotten even great. You're not even close to where you're going to be when you're fully formed.
Well, I think stand-up is just a type of a form where you're just ever growing. It doesn't stop.
For sure.
I don't think there's a point where you're okay, this is the finish line. You're
For
just
sure.
going and going and going.
Right, but you do reach points that are okay, now I'm good enough. I don't know. Of course, there's milestones, and you'll reach points of development where you're good enough compared to other people.
Yeah.
Where it's okay, he's original. Usually that happens around 10. Usually they say it takes about 10 to find your voice, I guess. But
you said 10 to find your voice?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what God. That's the average that they say. It's it takes 10 years to get good, maybe 20 years to get great.
Well, let's just talk about Day. Who is Day here, right?
Yeah, just fans of just other comedians that are established. Pretty much all the famous comics will probably average. That's what they'll say.
Yeah.
On average, yeah.
I just feel since there are so many of these, I think 10 is the magic number, right? We all know 10 is the magic number, but is it the magic number? Do you feel it also then just kind of stops people from thinking the same way when they're at 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, it's a magic number. It's not a magic number for sure. It's just it takes, basically what I think is it takes a long time.
Yeah.
Because you could be 10 years. It doesn't mean shit. It just means you probably need to at least be doing it for that long before you could even think that you're solid.
No, I
Like
understand.
these are low. Like I'm very conservative. I'm like, there's comedians that do very well their first couple of years, or but then they're just not fully. It just it shows that they're not experienced, and if you see them enough, they are only doing well in certain contexts, and they maybe are afraid to do harder shows because they want to protect their ego. I don't know. Usually, you got to go up. Like you got to do shitty shows if you're that new, because you got to keep developing. You can't just do easy shit.
Yeah. And I think it's really funny how what the perception of stand up was for me when I was starting. Like when I was starting, I was like, "Oh my god, 2 years in, I'll be I'll be a pro by then." You don't even there's just no understanding of what is going on. And these numbers of like 7, 8, 9, 10 years don't even come to your head. I thought like 5 years, I'll do it for 5 years and I'll be a pro and I'll be like, this is it. Goodbye. I'm on to my next business venture.
Oh yeah, you could be a pro 2 years in for sure. It's just, does that mean you're as good as somebody? It just doesn't mean you're good yet. You could be a pro 2 years in for sure.
Well, at this point, I'm just like, I don't think I can even be a pro at 2 years. I mean, I'm 2 years in.
You're becoming kind of a pro. You got a big gig tonight in just a couple hours.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. It's my first time playing in front of my own audience, so I'm actually quite excited and nervous at the same time.
What do you mean by your own audience?
By own audience, this is the first time I'm playing in front of Pakistani people. I am Pakistani by background, and these people, I'm actually thinking about doing a dual language show. So I'm gonna go in and out of like, I'm gonna speak in English, I'm gonna speak in Urdu, just to kind of see if like both humors will hit. So
wow.
It's a crazy show because I'm like the only comic on the show too. So it's just gonna be dances, like Bollywood stuff going on.
So first, okay, so have you ever done that before? Ever spoken in the other language, in Urdu?
Yeah, like, are you talking about
as a comic? I mean,
as a comic? Yeah, I've when I went back home.
Obviously doing it not as a comic.
Yeah, when I went back home a couple of years ago, I was like about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months in at the time. I did a gig and then I did like one show, and I did an Urdu. So did
okay,
like
so that's something you were kind of okay. It's not like you're doing that for the first time. Okay, the next thing I was wondering, who are you following? Like, who's bringing you up? Like, what's the format of the show? You're the only comic. Mm-hmm. So who is bringing you up and what do you have to follow?
So here's what's going on. They're going to start with dance performances, right? And after that, there's going to be a singer. I think he's a rapper is what's going on.
Oh, boy.
And then after that, there's a fashion show. So ladies are going to look great. They're going to wear their nice dresses. Okay. And then I am following the...
Oh, shit. You're after all that?
I am following the fashion show.
Fuck.
I am following the fashion show, and it's like outdoors under like the UT Tower. So I just don't even have an understanding of what's about to go down. But
have they done it before?
No, so they haven't done that in like 9 years. So this is the first time they're doing it in 9 years, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll show up. And I was like the only. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm not like the only. I think there are like other comics at the university, but I'm the only Pakistani comic who can speak Urdu and who understands the culture somewhat. So it's an interesting gig. I've never done anything like this, and I've definitely been thinking about it all day.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm nervous for you. I would like to go.
Yeah.
To see what it's like. I don't know if I'm allowed.
Yeah, you are.
It's because I'm very. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Anyone can come, really.
Cool, man. Yeah, that sounds fun, man. Wow. Yeah, I've never done a gig like that. Yeah. Anyway, but the point is that's a gig, and you will you'll learn from it, and it opens you up for more gigs. You just have to want them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think you and I were actually having this conversation, and thank you actually, because you pushed me. You were like, yeah, the gigs don't come to you. You gotta chase them, and you gotta want them like right. that. And that definitely gave me like a tad bit of a push where I was like, okay, well, I guess I just gotta go after it, because I think the initial mentality is that I guess it's also the ideal mentality where I believe I'm just gonna be that great where I'm just sitting there and then guys are just coming up to me and they're like, hey, come be on my show, da-da-da. But I think over time I've just kind of learned and understood that that's not how the way it mostly works. Like, you actually gotta go out there and ask for gigs and get gigs that way. and prove your worth. So thank you for that push. That was a very productive talk that one
Oh,
night.
fuck yeah, man. You're welcome. Yeah, I guess that's something I kind of realized on my own just a couple months ago. Is, well, I don't know when. Definitely, I put it into words a couple months ago on this podcast. I was like, it's not that complicated. Like, getting booked for comedy is really not. You just have to, there's just a couple things you have to do. It's simple. It's not easy, though. I'm not saying it's easy. It's just that it's, the logistics of it are pretty simple. You go, hey, how could I get on the show? And they go, okay, we need to see a clip or something. You send them a clip, and yeah, that's not that complicated. You just show up, you do it, you hopefully do well. It's important to be nice to people. I think, like, be professional. That's what I was gonna say. Is like, you could be a professional anytime. Is the minute you start acting like one is when you're a professional. If you know, that's what something I put into words. I boiled it down when a couple months ago. I got very motivated. I was like, I'm going to be making $100,000 a year from stand up. And I was like, then I'll teach other people how to do it. Because fuck it. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I'm very like entrepreneur. I have all these ideas, some of which I want, like all of which usually don't happen. Just one of those things I do. It's like, okay, I'm going to teach people what it takes. But anyway, you can't really teach it, but you could give tips. I don't know. It's not that complicated. Yeah.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. How do you feel about comics preaching? You know, there's like this culture of like comics always preaching. And then I've realized, like, all the guys and girls that I've talked to, like, everyone just has a different perception of it, right? Some people are like, yeah, I like it, it's helpful, da-da-da. And then there are people who are just like, I don't want this guy to tell me anything since he sucks himself. You know what I mean? So what's your take on it? Like, do you think comics should be out there preaching? Because no comic is perfect, right? No comic is ever perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. So how do you feel about these guys who just, you know, those guys, like, when you do a set, like, some guy will come up to you and be like, yeah, you should have done this instead of that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that I hate. I don't really do that. I don't get creatively involved.
Yeah.
But I do like to preach about, I love to preach.
Yeah.
But also, I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'm open to learn. So, yeah, but when it comes down to giving people notes on their set, yeah, I don't really do that. That's subjective, and I hate when people do that to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when someone does that to me, I just I give them advice right back to them.
Yeah.
I go, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. Can I give you advice? Don't give
Shut
people...
up.
Yeah. Literally, I've done that to people. I've said that to people.
Really?
They gave me really rude advice, what I thought was bad advice.
Well, tell me, what was it?
Like that I shouldn't do an accent, like that I shouldn't lean into my accent.
Yeah.
My Chicago accent.
Yeah.
Which is fun. I do it because it's funny.
Of course.
And because I've been doing it for whatever. I do it and I like it, and I'm going to keep doing it. So I told this guy, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. Probably shouldn't tell people don't give people unsolicited advice.
Of course.
Somebody asks you for advice.
Thank you. Oh, my God. Thank you.
That's why I was like, yo, that's going to make you look like I could handle it.
Yeah.
But for other people, if you want people to like you,
Yeah.
don't fucking tell them to not do something that fucking works.
Yeah.
Maybe if it didn't work, and I was like 2 years in, I would be like, oh, man, okay.
Yeah.
I fucking hate when anybody does. Even if they're 20 years in, they try to tell me not to do something.
Yeah.
Fuck you. That's how you get good, is by taking risks. I take risks all the fucking time, and I bomb all the time, and I learn, and it's fun. Because sometimes it works. Sometimes that risk,
Of course.
fucking kills.
Of course. That one time you pulled up with that Timmy Gusto shirt at the Banana Phone mic, that was I just remember that moment is ingrained into my head.
Okay.
Just because it was a risky moment, and the way you turned around.
Oh, yeah.
Showstopper right there.
Yeah, I do weird shit like that all the time.
No,
yeah,
that was really
I
good.
like to do off the wall shit.
Yeah.
Like visual stuff, not just jokes all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way I walk could be a joke.
Yeah.
Just turning around. Yeah, like stage presence and the way you move around on stage and look at the crowd. That's all material.
Yeah,
That's all.
of course. And your persona is really, really strong. Like I can feel it develop, I can see it develop, and like you're about it. Like and it's so it's so funny to hang out with you outside of like comedy because you are a completely different person. Like that persona and you are just day and night almost, you know what I mean? So, but it's also really interesting to watch you when you get up there and then you just turn that switch on and you're that guy suddenly who has a picture of himself at the back of his shirt and turns around and kills the room.
I like it too, and very few people understand it, I think.
Yeah.
But the ones who do, they keep me going.
Yeah.
You know, like every once in a while, somebody will be like, "Hey, I dig that, I understand that, and I like it," and I need that. If it was all coming from internal,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would keep doing it, man. Like,
No.
and I won't necessarily keep doing that.
Yeah.
But I need some external validation to keep doing stand-up and to be creative.
Yeah.
I'm just one of those people. I don't think that's healthy necessarily, but it has to be somewhat external. At least you have to do well.
Yeah.
You at least kill.
Yeah.
For it to feel worthwhile.
So do you think delusion is better? Like, is ignorance bliss in comedy? Because you see like a lot of delusional people around, and you're just kind of like, what's going on here? Like, you ever meet a guy who's just like, who gets off the stage and he's just like, yeah, man, I totally killed that, and then you're just like,
Yeah.
what are you?
I've had them on this podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's some people, not to name names, but
How many people have you had on this podcast?
I usually have people that are delusional. I don't know, man. We don't have to get it down that rabbit hole of like interpersonal. My problem, like who I hang out with. I've talked about that enough. But there's absolutely comics in Austin, in particular, who have no ability to know how good they are.
Yeah.
It's delusional.
Yeah.
And it's not helping them.
Okay.
It's hurting them. Because they're burning bridges and they're not building bridges they just go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why am I not getting booked on every show? I should be on every show, not just one. I should be on every show.
Yeah.
So because I've been killing on all these open mics, and I look at them and I just, with a blank face, because I don't want to be honest, because that would hurt. That would make them come after me.
Yeah.
Then I'm their enemy.
Yeah.
So I just have to go, okay. Well, no, I've had deep conversations. I just tell them, really? You think that? I don't know, man. I haven't seen that. It's tough to have those conversations, man. But
No, I
for
understand that.
sure they're out there, and for sure it doesn't help.
Generally, I just go on with the delusion. I'm like, yeah, dude, totally killed it.
Right.
Like,
if I don't know them at
don't
all.
want to kill your vibe. Don't care about you.
Yeah,
Nothing like that.
I don't say bad things to people's faces unless
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
asking for advice or some shit. If I see them angry,
Yeah.
I do like to talk to comics about what they're angry about
Okay.
to see if I could help them with that, because it's relatable.
Well, when you say they're angry, like, are you referring to life, or are you talking about like just comedy?
Yeah, mostly, like comedy. Like if they have a qualm, if they feel like they aren't getting what they deserve,
Mm-hmm.
I do like to talk to them, because we all have that feeling.
Yeah.
Most of us. Very few comics are like, yes, I'm getting everything. Some do, but that's rare as fuck.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I'm getting so much work and money and fame. Too much, man.
That's very rare to hear.
Like Uncle Laser's the one I could think of where
Yeah.
he's like getting too much. He's like, fuck, I have all these gigs and I'm just not solid, and I'm not like confident that I'm gonna do well on them or something. He's getting overbooked.
I've seen he's starting to appear on my Instagram. I don't know the guy personally. What's going on there?
Oh, he's a Kill Tony dude that he made a big first impression.
Is he a comic?
Yeah, he's a comic, but he just started.
Okay,
almost a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Not even a year ago, so he's new as fuck.
Okay.
But he has all these followers.
Okay.
Tons of followers, so he gets a lot of gigs.
Okay.
And that's a weird place to be. It's like, okay, I'm shot out of a cannon, and it's just hard to fill the time with. It's better to be underrated. It's way better to be a 20-year comic who's just starting to get gigs.
Yeah.
Than a 1-year comic who has way too many gigs.
You really believe that?
Well, he'll figure. It's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have, isn't it?
But it could also.
I mean, the dude seems very charismatic. Like as I said, I don't know him, but
I don't know though, because it could. My feeling is that it's a bad thing, because then he's not hungry.
yeah, of course.
You gotta be hungry to get good. So yeah, he's not. I don't think he's. He's not bad. I like him.
Yeah.
Um,
Strong character.
Yeah.
And just overall, just a big guy. So you're just kind of like, it's just hard to miss the guy.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, yeah, big personality, but whatever. I don't know. My character that I do comes and go. Like I don't like doing it all the time because cause it's phony, because it's like fake.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's not very like respectable to be fake in comedy, but I don't know. I like it sometimes. Sometimes I don't.
Do you think it's better to be fake and funny or real and be trash? Which route are we taking here?
Well, if it's trash, it's trash. But real you could think it's trash, and then sometimes you'll get a big laugh. You think you're just saying something that's nothing, but you said it in your own way. You said it with your own, with your own voice. So it gets a huge laugh. That's probably better than being fake.
Well, we are comics. Like, our job is to be funny, right? Not to be real.
Yeah, funny is what matters.
Funny is priority number one.
That's all that matters.
Okay, yeah.
If you can kill the crowd, doesn't really matter what the fuck you did to get there.
Yeah.
It has to be consistent.
Yeah.
And yeah, whatever. So I'm going through like an identity crisis.
Okay.
With comedy, where I got this split personality.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, do I want to go up there as me or this fake Guido, this Italian guy?
Well, I find it really interesting how. So the first 8, 9, 10 years when you were doing it, you did it as Tim Weichselbaum, and then suddenly you decided to come out with a new character. So what triggered that? I'm kind of interested.
It slowly came just because in Austin I didn't feel like going up as Tim Weichselbaum because it's too long.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, I guess it's time to get serious about a stage name and stick with it.
Yeah.
Because I've tried before to have a stage name and it didn't stick because it was just too ludicrous. But this one is also pretty ludicrous. So I like that. I like having a ludicrous stage name.
Uh-huh.
So I picked one, and it started as just a stage name. But that lends itself to a persona.
Yeah.
Because it's this very Italian stage name, Timmy Gusto. It's like, okay, gusto, that means having a lot of flair. That's the word. So I was like, okay, if I'm going up as that, I kind of want to be the persona that fits that stage name, and that's kind of how I thought of it too. Is like, because it's a douchebag character, and most of my jokes are coming from the point of view of an arrogant douchebag.
Yeah.
The ones, yeah. So that's where. So it slowly morphed in or evolved into a full-fledged character that's separate from me. So it's becoming its own thing. There's glimpses, it's a little bit of me, but it's also a lot. It's not me at all.
Yeah.
So it's weird as fuck, and that's why I'm having a crisis. That's why I don't really like going up that much, because people have to get it, and like it's hard to do that at open mics. Go up as a douchebag. If it was a show, that's different, but I'm not really even trying to get on shows with that character right now.
Okay, so when you are on shows, you don't do the Timmy Gusto.
No, I would. It's been a while since a couple months ago, I did, but I was breaking character.
Interesting. So you initially just came with the thought of the name, and then you were like, okay, well, I can just build a persona around it.
Pretty much, the persona
really
was
cool.
already kind of there, but now it's like becoming set, like very formed as like ridiculous. Like it's becoming. A caricature.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, like now I do an accent because I kind of want to use it for other things besides stand up. I want to use it as a persona to be on like funny like talk shows or do acting. It's like it's like Dice. Like he only does that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, I break character when I'm on a show and I'm trying to do well. I smile at the crowd, and I go, okay, I'm just like, I show that I'm self-aware.
Yeah.
Because if I if I don't break character, people don't get it.
Yeah.
All the time. They go, well, he's actually that person in real life. 'Cause people, so that's why I have to be headlining. I have to be doing a show where people know who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I actually started, I thought my name was really hard to pronounce for people, which it still is. So I actually started as Tommy. All my first year, I went up as Tommy when I was in Dallas, and then once I moved, but it was just starting to get a little confusing. You know what I mean? Because I was Tommy, and then I was Talha, and then I was Tommy, and then I was Talha. So I was just like, I don't even know how to roll with this. So once I moved over here, I just decided to go with the real name, which I think was a better choice, honestly.
For sure.
Overall. Tommy, because people would also just be like, you don't even look like a Tommy. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that just threw a lot of people off. And then I wasn't having like an identity crisis per se, but I was just like, I would tell all the comics that my name is Tommy, and then I would meet people outside, and I'd be like, oh yeah, my name's Talha.
Right.
So it was just getting confusing.
That's funny. You picked a white stage name.
Super white say his name. Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, your name is perfectly fine for stand-up. Yeah, the real one.
The real one, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
it
I
is.
think it just brings a flair and be like, okay, well, this guy is something different, Talha Usman.
And people want that. I guess the market wants that.
People, okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think, historically speaking, stand-up is a white guy's game overall?
Sure, just only because it started in a pretty white country.
Okay.
White majority country, right? It pretty much started in America. So in the 80s, it was peaked with just white men.
Yeah.
Yeah, but did it? So that was your question. Just if it started that way, or
I'm saying, is it still that way, you think? Or does the market want something more indifferent?
It's not still that way because there's so many fucking non-white men that are doing very well.
Okay.
And selling tickets all over the world. So it's certainly not that way, and it shouldn't be that way because all it is telling jokes.
Yeah,
that'd be insane.
Anyone can be funny, right?
I mean, for many decades, there's been like examples of like, other people doing it besides white men. But yeah, it'd be ridiculous to say that it's only a thing that, that it's like cultural appropriation or something. Like, it's like, no, man, it's our thing. Like, yeah, sure. Just telling jokes.
It's our thing. Well,
Yeah.
I will be honest. I do believe. Okay, I think one thing I do think about white people a lot is like they got the grit, dude. They got the perseverance factor. Like if there's a brown guy like me, like he will do it for like 2, 3, 4 years, but eventually he'll just be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And this is the
Really?
majority that I'm speaking about. I think I think I'm pretty accurate on that. Where they'll do it for a while and they'll just be like, this is just not for me because this is not happening. But the white guy just keeps on going for on and on and on. Like
Really?
I really believe that. Yeah, like that is one thing that's very respectable. Where like for 8, 9, 10 years, this guy will do it until he gets where he was trying to get. Versus, your typical brown dude would just be like, yeah, I don't think it's happening. I gotta go do something else. Which I mean, honestly, is also not a bad approach in life. Is what I feel like, because at some point you do have to step out of the delusion and just be like, I don't think it's happening for me. I gotta go do something else before I start wasting my time.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like some
Yeah.
some people you see they just don't turn funny, and at some point I think there has to be a point where you're like, I gotta stop and I gotta get out.
I have like the opposite opinion. I think the brown comics that I'm thinking of, they're the ones who figure it out way quicker and stick with it because for some reason I think they have more grit than domestic white people that just grew, like white men like me that just grew up here. Like I don't have that like tenacity or like that consistence that I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
There's plenty of brown comics that are way more established, like that I look up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, something about that region, people that come from India and Pakistan, they fucking work.
Oh, and honestly, if I'm just being frank with you, super funny people. Actually, like all Pakistanis are so funny. Like I don't even consider myself like the funniest. Like if I go to Pakistan, like there's like 10 guys who are just ready to eat me alive. People are just cutthroat because they want to, like Karachi, where I come from, right? It's a very busy city. Like people are just pissed off all the time because it's just so. It's like it's one of the highly dense population in the world. I think we are actually number 1 if I'm not mistaken. And there's just traffic all the time. There's bikes, there's cars, there's lanes, but like you're not really driving in the lanes, People are just mad all the time. So the humor that is being produced out of all that frustration is insane. People are so frustrated, and that's why I think honestly just so funny.
Mm-hmm. And when did you move here?
I moved here 2012, summer of 2012.
Wow.
So I've been here. This will be 11 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just something I've noticed. Like, if you immigrate towards here or from to here,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like this entrepreneurial thing. It's like there's this like you just want to make something happen, and I don't know. It's an entrepreneurial thing. I look at it as, I don't know.
Well, I think it just kind of goes back to what you were saying. It's the hunger factor. You know, like when you have seen the other side of the world, and then you come here and you're like, okay, well, I see what the hell's going on here, and I see what the opportunities are like. Because, like, let's say I was telling you, like, I went back to Pakistan to stand up. Like, they have, like, I don't know, like 1 mic a week, 2 mics a week. Like, you can't do what you do here over there just because there's just no, you can't make it that far. There's a ceiling.
Right.
There are some funny comics in Pakistan too.
Well, there you go. So it's a hunger thing.
It's a hunger thing.
That makes
100%.
sense.
It's a hunger thing. You know, what you have right now is just so much of a bigger opportunity than you had earlier. So you're just so much more hungry to pounce on it and not let it go to waste. Whereas if you're born here, you just don't know what the other side of the world is like. So I just feel like you don't even think that way, if that makes any sense.
Well, it's making me feel like I gotta get my shit together when I talk to somebody like you, because I could see you going places in this bitch, in this business, and I'm stagnated. I'm just some dude who's like, I don't even like putting myself out there. I don't know. I did a mic a couple of days ago, and I got nothing out. I was like so not present.
Yeah.
During it, I was like so like glossed. My eyes were glossed over. I wasn't connecting with the crowd at all. It was like,
were you in your character?
Not really. I was. I wasn't at all. I talked deadpan.
Yeah.
I wasn't even trying to do the jokes justice that much. I was just completely. Sometimes it's fun to go completely deadpan too.
Yeah.
I don't like to be just one thing all the time.
Yeah.
So, but it was terrible. It was just me realizing that I'm hitting this wall. I'm at this, and I've been at this wall for a long time, like years. Since COVID.
Okay.
Is when I started noticing this decline in cognitive ability that translates to not performing the way I used to at stand-up.
Yeah.
I think literally it is from getting like a little bit of long COVID, maybe, because that's when I first started noticing it. I had this like brain fog and like anxiety that I didn't have before.
Okay.
And sometimes I think I'm over it, but then I look back, I do research online, and I think it's possible I still have some lingering problems with that. I used to be much different. I used to be more able to turn it on much easier and get more pleasure out of it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going through. I'm going through a fucking thick fog, and but it doesn't mean I'm quitting. Like I know I want to make something happen.
Yeah.
It might not right now. It's not stand up that I'm focusing on. It's podcasting and online content.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Well, do you think the longer you do stand up, the more stagnant you start getting I think I realized like the first year I did stand up, that was like the most improvement overall, and then obviously you keep on improving, but then I think it just gets slower and slower and slower, and I would assume like by the time you're at like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-ish years, your growth is just so slow at this point. And I think the frustration also just it starts building up where you're just like, okay, I'm doing this, but really nothing is happening.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, for sure, growth slows down, and your first year it feels like the most, quick growth, exponential. Yeah. But it's just a performance thing. It's my growth is whatever. I don't know. It's not going to go any. Yeah, my performance level has dropped.
Yeah.
To where it used to be. I used to just be able to roll in to any mic and just feel like, I got this. I don't give a fuck how many people are there. I just had this confidence that was it was very like permanent almost, and it's weird.
And you're saying COVID messed with that?
Yeah, that's when I noticed that it went away.
Okay.
I went to Austin, visited in February of 21, and I did well at the open mics and shows that I did or whatever. And then as soon as I got home, I got COVID, and then I started noticing this anxiety and lack of like pleasure. Like it killed my sense of humor almost.
Ooh.
It's crazy. It's a cognitive thing, and it's like this feeling of like not wanting to talk to people. Like I have my mind just goes. I'll be on stage, and my mind will just go blank, and I won't even like give a fuck about the jokes I'm talking about. It's crazy. I'm still going through it.
Okay.
I've had glimpses of feeling like I'm out of it,
Okay.
but still, it's just this lack of drive and pleasure from stand-up. So fuck that. Fuck stand. I don't know. For now, I'm not really. I go.
You think the years are taking a toll?
I think it's
I mean,
just.
you are 10 years in.
I don't think so, because I think that's not that long.
Okay.
I think it's just this psychological this cognitive thing that needs to be treated. This podcast is about self-improvement.
Yeah.
So that's just the next thing to tackle.
Okay.
I've already tackled other things
Okay.
on this, like alcohol. I quit that. Weed, I quit that. I'm not using that that helped. That kind of helped with creativity. But anyway, I'm not doing that. I found out that I have ADHD, sleep apnea, and whatever. So I had to
take Adderall?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
I don't usually take Adderall, but whenever I do, dude, I'm on it. Like,
yeah, it helps. It helps me get out of bed. It helps me get.
Helps you do everything,
like,
really.
Right. It helps with everything.
You do every single thing.
Pretty much.
Throughout the day, you're good at everything for like 12 hours, and you're like, let's do it.
Oh yeah, but I take such a small amount.
I can totally see.
I
how
don't feel
it can
like I'm
be
on
addicting.
anything.
Yeah.
I just feel like okay, I could move around more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it helped at first. When I first got on it, it was like a huge honeymoon period.
Yeah.
Where I was like, fuck yeah, and I thought of all this stuff, and I improved the quality of the pot. I started setting up this studio.
Yeah.
So that's thanks to.
This is all Adderall.
Well, it's treating ADHD, not necessarily all Adderall.
Yeah.
It's knowing what the problem was.
Yeah.
To allow me to be like, it's not depression, because you could get dopamine from other things besides Adderall.
Yeah.
You don't need to always be on it. You just have to figure out other ways of getting it.
Yeah.
Like sunlight. So once I knew that was the problem, I could sort of get my life adjusted and more organized, knowing that I definitely have that condition. But I don't know if I'll have to be on Adderall forever.
Yeah.
I don't think I need it every day. I just need I need an external source of dopamine or I'm just retraining my brain to get more into enjoying the effort of work as opposed to the reward at the end of what you get out. That's just something I learned from Andrew Huberman, is you got to train your brain to enjoy the effort itself. The work itself you have to enjoy.
The grind.
Yeah, well,
The grind is where it's
maybe
at.
not, I guess it's a grind, but also it's rewarding when you're doing actual creative work.
Yeah.
Like when you think of a new joke
Oh.
or write a new tag,
Yeah.
that gives you dopamine.
Of course.
That's what you should be addicted to.
Yeah. No, I think that's what makes open mics so much more interesting when you have like new stuff to try. Because I feel like such a fake and a scam. Like if I'm going up and I'm just doing the same set again.
Oh yeah.
Oh
for
my
sure.
god, that just hurts me, man.
For sure.
Like I just wasted some time. I think I'm starting to come to a mindset where I'm just like, I would rather go up there and bomb on like new stuff versus just do a really good set of like the old stuff that I know would work.
Same. Yeah, and I don't even know if I could do a good set of old shit, even if it has worked before. That's another thing that is my problem. I need it to feel new. That's why I don't do shows, is because for a show you have to do material, and if you don't like any of your material, it's not going to go very well.
Yeah.
So I have to get into this mindset of like actually liking the jokes that I'm about to do, or say them in a way that's fun.
Yeah. You start hating your jokes after a while, right?
After like 2 times I say them. Yeah.
It starts, I'm just
My
like, what is this?
duration is shorter than most comics.
Okay.
And that's part of ADHD, I guess, is like novelty. You have to it has to be new, has to feel novel. So yeah, that's my problem.
Do you also think as a comic, I think that's a pretty good thing as a comic, right? Like when you're like, okay, I've done this 2 times, I'm not feeling it anymore, I'm gonna move on to new shit.
Yeah, it makes me write a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could come up with premises very quickly, and but it doesn't mean the problem is building an act. Can't build a fucking act when you're throwing it out every 2 days. That's why I like to just do podcasting and other forms of improv.
Yeah.
Like with the Timmy Gusto character, I would love to just do shows like where I just am on a panel
Yeah.
and reviewing something like I've done on Roast Battle.
Yeah.
Like that was a good gig for me to be a judge on.
You a big roast guy? You good at roasting?
No, this
Okay.
was in Chicago. I was just asked to be on the panel
Yeah.
to be a judge, so I didn't have to do the roast.
Okay.
And I'm not a big roast guy.
Same. I don't feel.
Yeah, I've done them, but it's not my favorite thing to do. But yeah, I like improv style shows.
I get you. Well, I've been dodging roast, the whole genre itself, but I feel like at some point it's gonna catch up to me.
Yeah, you'll do roast. There's no way to avoid it.
There's no way to avoid it, right?
Sure, you cannot do them, but most comics do them at least at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's beneficial, you'd say?
I don't know if I got much out of being on a roast show. Maybe once it felt good, but like also I was pretty mean. So I don't know. I don't think so. It's competitive. It's fun to watch sometimes, but you don't have to do them.
Yeah, I just have a hard time being mean to people. Like,
Yeah.
Your mom is like that, or your mom. I can't do that stuff.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I just feel. I'm just like, what are you talking about here?
I'm not really mean to people in the audience.
I can't.
Even like hecklers, I'm not mean to really.
Yeah,
like,
I can't be like, fuck your mom.
Unless it's
I can't
ironic.
say shit like that.
I'm only mean ironically.
Yeah.
Like that, I love to curse because it's just fun. But but I don't really get mad at people on stage, even if I'm getting hacked, unless it's something that really hack. I don't know, man. I have resentment towards people, but that's why we're gonna run a show together.
Yes.
If I were starting a show.
Look at this official announcement.
Yeah, we don't have to get into it. Yeah. But since we announced it, that means we're definitely gonna do it.
Yeah, I think this was a great idea. Good
Fuck,
one.
yeah.
If we hadn't said it on here, it just wouldn't have happened.
So you wanted to run a show because why?
Because why? Why? Because I think just going back to that topic of like grind, still enjoy the grind, still want to do it, but I think there has to be a bit more gratification involved in this,
So it's for gratification.
It's
for clout.
It's you know what? Yeah, I don't want to lie. Yes, it's also for clout. Yes, it's definitely for clout as well. And then it is also to get that in front of audience experiences. Like we've been to every open mic in Austin. Stage time,
Fuck yeah.
We've been to every open mic in Austin at this point, and like you'll barely get audiences, or it's just like
dude. The ones that do have audiences are so like hard to get on.
Hard to get on, dude. It's the same 20 guys again and again and again, and quite frankly, I'm just getting sick of it. It bothers me a little bit, where I'm just like, dude, it's an open mic, at least change the lineup. And I know I'm not the only comic who feels this way, but the same guys on any good mic, it's impossible to get onto. Like you get on, I've been emailing this one mic for like 3 months, and they just won't put me on. It's not even like a personal agenda. They just won't put me on.
Yep, and it's usually comics that are very bitter and resentful that run these types of mics. And I'm just going by my experience in Chicago.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. They will put you at the very end if you're a certain type that they don't want. If you're the type that they do want, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it either. You could be showing up for the first time and like, oh, you're this, so we're gonna bump you in front of all these white guys.
Yeah.
And it's usually people that don't go anywhere because they hate themselves and they're depressed and mentally ill.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do go somewhere, like I don't know, but not really. Not the ones actually, never mind. The ones that I was just thinking of that actually have careers, they were nice to me and inclusive to me. So actually, I'm sticking with my theory is that the more inclusive you are, that usually corresponds with actually being likely to be successful.
Yeah.
Correlates. Everybody that's funny was nice to me, and all the people that weren't nice to me usually are not that funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, just to kind of go back to your question too, like it's also about like giving back to the community as well,
We talked about this.
Giving
we did
back to
some
the community.
brainstorming. We had a business meeting, and we're gonna give back to. Me and Talha are gonna be the next Joe Rogans or the next similar to what Tony Hinchcliffe does. He gives people the spotlight.
The spotlight.
Who wouldn't normally have a chance to get it
Yes.
because they have to deal with these assholes
Yes.
that just want to book their dumb, ugly, not funny friends.
Yes. We don't want to be the guys who are just rolling the same lineup every single week or month or whatever it is. We want to be the guys who are giving chances to people and, to an opportunity to put yourself out there in front of a real crowd. Because most of the times I feel like at an open mic, if there's nobody, and even if you have a good idea and you put yourself out there, just because you get such a bad response, you just automatically kill or throw that idea away. Where like sometimes I've noticed, like, even if you're doing good in front of a crowd and like you start throwing new ideas too, you gain some confidence with those ideas. So I think the plan would be to have something where we can give back to the comics and make sure, especially to the guys who are in the same boat as us.
We're gonna pay them.
We're gonna pay them. We're definitely gonna pay them.
All of them.
Yeah. All of
Even
them.
like the guest spots.
Even like the guest spots. Honestly, why not?
Depends.
Yeah. Okay.
Just depends. I think sometimes you might not be able to pay every single guest spot.
Yeah.
But whatever. Just wondering.
Just something, even if like $5, I'll pitch in 5.
There you go.
Just for someone to feel like they got paid. Look, I don't even, most comics, especially at least me, I'll just speak for myself. If I'm doing a gig, like, I'm not even really that interested in the money. Like $20 is not gonna do that much for me, really. I'm just gonna go buy myself a meal afterwards. That's pretty much gonna be it. You know what I mean? But it's just the idea of getting paid for my time is really what matters. So I don't think the amount to me matters.
Yes.
It's the idea of I did something, because we're so used to doing open mics for free, where when you get paid, it actually feels like I did something, So a good crowd, pay. Who's going to say no to that?
Dude, I'm so cynical that I just want real money. I'll do shitty sets for $1,000.
Yeah.
Not rather instead of a good set for 20. I have no heart anymore. I'm just gonna go up there as Timmy Gusto, have my sunglasses on the entire time.
With the shirt on too.
For sure.
Yes.
And then maybe, if I care enough to bring it, and I'll just not connect with the crowd.
Yeah.
But then only care about the money, because that's where I'm at right now.
No, that's fair.
Fuck art. If you want the real me, you gotta hire me as Tim Weichselbaum to be a consultant or some boring shit like that on a podcast. I love talking about comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very like jaded, I guess is the word. But it usually means you've gotten a lot of something. I haven't really gotten much money yet, but I'm getting more businessy and less caring about open mics. I know that I need to do more of them though. I need to get more stage time.
Well, let's get into like the open mic grind. How long should you be doing open? I'm not saying like
that's a good question.
Consistently for, you know what I mean?
It's a good question. What do you think?
What do I, dude?
Before I give you my dumb lecture.
Okay, no, that's fair. I would say like from what I've seen, at least like 4 or 5 years, I'd say. 4 or 5 years, you should be hitting mics consistently, and then you should start thinking about transitioning to the next side, which is like lower on the mics, and then like at least try to get booked consistently, and then just bounce off those. That's my answer. I don't really have a solid, understanding.
Yeah, I think, to do them consistently, for 5 years, that's a good, like
You think that's a
every
good number?
day. When I first started, like, it was kind of like you had to do it every day, multiple times a night, pretty much as many as you could, because I wanted to get funnier as fast as possible so that I could be one of the dudes, be looked at as a real comic as soon as possible. I wanted to get in the door of the community in terms of respect. Like he's one of the funny guys in this comedy scene. That was the first fuel source for me. It's a dopamine. It's like this consistent drip of dopamine. Just knowing that the more it's a goal that's very easy to define. It's like, okay, once I get on this show, that means I'm a real comic or some shit like that. And just once this person likes me, or it's like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. You need that. You need that reward for putting in the work. And if you're not getting it, it's going to feel like a waste of time. Even though you might still be doing it, you're still going to be working on jokes and getting a little bit better. But at this stage, I don't feel like I'm not getting nearly as much dopamine as I did when I was a year to 5 years in from open mics. It was so different back then, man. It was like so... It just felt like this new breath of life.
Yeah.
This new hobby that was like, this is all I want to do.
This is all I want. That's kind of where I am, by the way.
Fuck yeah. And Kill Tony has a lot of people like that go on it and they go, all I do is stand up.
Yeah.
And they're transfixed on, they got bit by it, the bug, and that's fine. That's you get addicted to it. It's what happened to me. And right now I'm not that addicted to it. I still like getting laughs, but it's just I get less of the reward. But yeah, that said, I should still be doing open mics. 10 years is not that long. I need to do at least 3 sets a night to feel even warmed up. Because 3 sets, 3 open mics is like 12 minutes of stage time. That ain't dick.
Yeah.
You need if you're a professional.
And it's also lose stage time.
It's nothing, yeah.
It's nothing, yeah.
Professionals do up to 2 or 3 hours a night.
Yeah.
If they're doing multiple sets a night. That's hour-long sets, not just fucking 2 minutes.
Insane.
So fuck open mics. Fuck these 3-minute open mics. I deserve better, but also I don't because I'm not willing to go through the process. Because I came from a different scene. Yeah. And I'm jaded.
Okay, well... You said like professional are doing hours, right? Like the type of comedy that I do, it's longer formatted bits. Like generally I require time, like a long time for me to like go through bits and like make myself like established and understood. Do you think something like that for a guy like me, like a 3-minute set, doing 3-minute set, what do you think? Is this a challenge? Is this helpful to my style? How does it go?
Yeah, if it's a 3-minute set, I would try to get at least 5 to 10 punchlines. Okay. It's all about number of punchlines per minute. It doesn't matter if it's a story or a one-liner. You still want that many punchlines.
What's the number, like 6 punchline or punchline for like every 10 seconds, 6 seconds? There's a thing.
Yeah, probably around there. Every 10 seconds rough to kill. Yeah. At the most or at the least. Yeah. Yeah, every 10 seconds
6
to 15
punchlines a minute.
Yeah, like if it's a really big punchline, then okay, maybe 10 to 15 seconds of setup. Yeah. Maybe even longer if it's worth the journey. Yeah. And if it's necessary to say all those words. If it's not necessary to say a word, you cut it out. Yeah. The punchline, you just want to get to the punchline as soon as possible. Yeah. Like hopefully before you even start talking, there should be something funny about what you're doing, even as you're getting to the mic. Yeah. What I like to do is show them that I'm already doing my act. Yeah. Before I even speak, I like to be. I don't like to go on and on. Yeah. And ramble, like I do on the podcast. It's different. Stand up is different. Yeah. And timing matters very much.
Well, ramblers, I lose ramblers. I can't focus for that long on one person. Before I'm just like, I have no idea. Like during stand-up specifically.
Unless there's punchlines, yeah.
Unless there's like, something going on.
Because then it's like impossible to not watch. If they're getting killed, if they're getting big laughs every 2 seconds, you're going to be like, what the fuck's that guy doing? Yeah. And you're going to watch.
Well, do you think people decide that someone is funny based on what they think is funny or based on what everyone around
Oh, that's a good point.
You know what I mean?
A lot of comics don't know the difference between their own taste in comedy and other people's taste. They go, okay, he's popular and he's killing.
This guy's laughing, so I should laugh too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true for audience for sure. Yeah. Audience member, the typical audience member is only going to laugh if the other audience members are laughing. The first person to laugh at a joke has balls. If it's like a slow burn type of joke, the first one to actually decide it's funny, that person has balls, and I respect that person because not everybody does that all the time. Yeah. That's why some crowds won't always get it. Sometimes you can blame a crowd for not having anybody to light the first kindling of the fire of that set, and once it's lit, it's kind of not that hard to keep it going for the rest of the set. So I guess that's why there's an argument for some crowds are better than others. There has to be someone willing to laugh and someone open-minded enough to be like, okay, I'm going to be the first one to laugh.
Do you think people are like, people are looking for, do you think people are more interested in the sayings or the script, or are they interested in the person? Like, are they looking for a funny person, or are they looking for good jokes? Is, I guess, what I'm trying to go for.
Yeah, both. You know,
Do you think
people
it's a mixture, or is there like a high and low there?
I guess both extremes are totally possible.
Of course.
You could have no personality but amazingly written jokes, and people will like it. Or you could have you could be like Bert Kreischer, and not really have the most clever jokes, but his personality is very alluring. And I like to lean more towards Bert Kreischer.
Well, the guy's standing without a shirt, so it's really hard to...
For sure.
It's really hard to miss him, you know? It's really hard to just get over that. Whenever I watch him, I'm just like, I can't even get over this. The fact that he doesn't have a shirt on.
Right. So, yeah, there's two opposites of that extreme. I like to do both. Whatever. I'm more charismatic. I like to try to lean into the character side where you can make anything funny.
Yeah.
I like that. Where you could just go up there and literally just say hi, and it gets a laugh because of the way you said it.
And that is your character. Honestly, I think your character is exactly like that. Like you...
I know it's possible to do that, yeah.
For me, I'm a fan of Timmy Gusto. And whenever I watch Timmy Gusto, I'm just laughing at, like, half the times I feel like I don't even listen to what you really just said. I'm just like, what is this guy? Who is this guy? Why is he talking like this? Why is he running around like that?
Fuck yeah. That's what I'm going for.
No, that's awesome.
Weird, yeah. It's a spectacle. I try to write. I try to think of clever shit that hasn't been said before. And, and try to be, not clever, but just not hack.
Yeah.
I don't want to just say hack shit.
Well, that's a good point you bring up about, like, things that haven't been said before. Everyone is always, of course, trying to be clever and, come out with something fresh and new and da-da-da. But is there also not the possibility and the reality that every joke has been written?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Pretty much every joke has been written, yeah.
Like, I've talked to a couple of people, and they're like, every joke has been written. It's just your lens at this point that really matters. Is this the truth, in your opinion? Yeah, pretty much any form of a joke has been told. It might be different words, but every premise, for the most part, has been done. So that is a thing to not be too bogged down by. You just have to make it your own. As long as you thought of it, then it's not a big deal if somebody else kind of had the same premise. Yeah. It's the punchlines that have to be unique enough. Interesting. As long as you stack enough punchlines that you thought of, it will be a distinct bit. Enough joke, yeah. Yeah. It has to have a footprint or thumbprint, however you want to, that's unique enough to be like, okay, it's original. Yeah, well, especially in this day and age where jokes are just circulating around like that. Oh, yeah. For sure. The internet, stand-up is very finite and over... I don't know, there's a lot of stand-ups right now coming into the business, coming into the open mics and whatever, man. I complained enough. I just want to see if there's one more thing before we go. I don't know. Should we talk about women, how we're going to not book women? Yes, let's do that. Did we bring that up? Yeah, no. Well, we did. We talked about it earlier. Nope, we didn't talk about it. I've never booked a female comic. And we would like to carry that on. I don't even know the last. Yeah. What do you think about this whole? How do I phrase this in a way that's this whole women are not funny thing? That's actually a valid question. Yeah, is that a valid question? Yeah, I think that's a valid. I think that's a pretty valid question. What do I think about it? I will be honest with you. I think women have the ability to be just as funny as guys are, if not more. The only thing I see is that the fact that there are not so many women in this industry, whenever there are girls who are doing it, they get booked so early. You see what I'm saying? Like, if there's a girl who's been doing it for like 8, 9, 10 months, she will get booked just because there's a lack of women. So I think they get thrown out there so quickly and that's the reason why they just also sometimes turn out to be not funny, because maybe I just feel like they're not ready for it. Where I feel like in the genre of like men, there are so many guys out here that you really just have to grind it out for years before you get yourself out there. But I feel like by the time you get yourself out there, you're so primed and you've been through so many experiences and things that you're ready to be out there at this point. And I think that's personal opinion, by the way. And I really do believe that is the reason why people find guys to be more funnier than women, because I really do believe the journey is a bit easier for girls than guys, for sure. It's easier to get booked as a girl than a guy. So I just feel like guys go through much more. And I feel by the way, I also do believe it's really hard to be a woman in this industry, because all these guys are just sitting there, just predators, just sitting there and looking. So that aspect of a woman in this industry is really hard. But in terms of like the booking and being funny and whatnot, I just feel like women just get thrown out there so quickly when they're like so green that then people are just like, oh my God, women are not funny. And I'm just like, yeah, it's because she was not ready for this. Whereas guys are just like grinding it out for years and then they're like primed and ready to go.
Okay. I like that take on it.
You see
That's
what I'm
a
saying?
very acceptable take.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's an appropriate question to even ask if women are funny.
I mean, of course they're not, but
just because it's a weird thing to end the podcast on. If it was earlier in the podcast, would have been fine.
yeah.
Because it's a deeper topic, I think, than just like, okay, what do you think about this? And let's go, okay, thanks for having you. I think I've talked about it enough. I don't know if I have. Yeah, I have definitely talked about this, but who cares? It's just, I just wanted to see if we could get to the hour. I think we're about at an hour.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, we're probably going to wrap it up. I'm just trying to think if I want to say anything about that topic.
Yeah, what do you think?
I will book a woman.
Okay.
But they have to be...
Even though you haven't done it before.
Have I personally done it? Yeah, a black woman.
Okay.
That's the thing. They come in different shades. There's not just one type of woman.
Yeah,
There's different, whatever you call it.
We're different shades, though.
Homo types or whatever the fuck. Phenotypes.
Yeah.
So there's funny black women that I would be like, fuck, in a second.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. Because they're funny.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If I think they're funny, sure.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the barometer for how I book people, is if they're funny.
No, but do you think women are funny?
Oh, compared to men?
Yes.
They're less funny compared to men, yeah.
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 Fair
It's like a biological... it's like a science... It's definitely a thing, I think, yeah. Like with hard science to back it.
Hell yeah, bros.
Yeah. That's what I think, and it's been a fun episode.
And thanks for having me, dude.
Oh, absolutely!
Yeah.
You killed it.
Yeah.
You did very well. I just wanted to put that in the episode that you're very good at this.
Okay.
So you have a future at podcasting, and I'd like to have you back.
I would love to be back.
And this has been episode 67 of the Tim Weichselbaum Show with my guest Talha Usman, and I hope y'all have a good rest of the week.